Morning, class. Today we're going to go over the questions. The first two questions are going to be about the transformations. So make sure you know what happens when you move the quadratic equations, and then the next two we're going to actually find the solution. So we're going to use our formula on these ones. If you haven't already reviewed the PowerPoint and done your star chart, do that first, and then just push pause on the video until you've answered all these questions as well, okay? Push pause now. Okay, so on this question it says the graph of the quadratic function p is shown. We've got negative 3, 3, 3, 3, and the vertex is down here at 0, negative 6. It says if k of x equals x squared and p of x is k of x plus n, what is the value of n? Well, k of x would be x squared, so it's this one here. It's your basic quadratic, right? And you can see that the p of x, which is what's graphed, because it's a graph of p is shown, has just been moved down 6. So what's this letter? It's just negative 6. So on your answer sheet, you're going to have to bubble in where you see plus and minus. Make sure you bubble in the minus, and then put 6 in your ones place and bubble in that number. Okay, on the next one, it says the graph g of x was transformed to create h of x equals negative x over 4 squared. Which of these describes the transformation of the graph of g to h? Now, some of you might already see what would happen because you do see a fraction and you see a negative. The negative means we have a reflection. Well, every single one says it's a reflection, right? But some say over x and some say over y. If you just go into your y equals and graph this, we'll actually see what happens. Anytime you see h of x, g of x, h of x, and it gives you the equation, go ahead and graph it. So I'm going to go into my y equals, and I'm going to type in that fraction, alpha y equals, and it's a negative, and then in my fraction I have x over 4, and all of that squared. So I forgot to put that in parentheses, so I'm going to add the parentheses right now. Boom. There we go. Negative of x over 4 squared. I'm going to hit graph. So you can see it flips over the x-axis, so it's not the y-axis. It flips over the x, so there goes g and j. And it stretches. And left to right is called horizontal, up and down would be vertical. So this is a horizontal stretch. And if you want to see what the original was, you can just type in x squared to see what it started as, so you can see both of them. So from here to here, it's flipped, the reflection over the x-axis, and this one is a horizontal stretch. It's getting bigger sideways. Okay, on this other one, it says the area of a rectangular trampoline is 112 feet. The length is 6 feet greater than the width, and the situation is represented by this equation. Then it says, what is the width? Well, the length is 6 feet greater than the width, right? So we have w squared plus 6w minus 112. We need to find the width. Well, what we need to do first is figure out what w equals. Well, if you use your quadratic formula, your x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, we should be able to get it. Your a value is your first one, so it's that sneaky 1. Our b value is our second one, it's positive 6. Our c value here is negative 112. So let's just put that in our formula. So x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 112. And all of that is divided by 2 times a, which is 1. I'm going to simplify before I put this in the calculator. So negative 6 plus or minus square root of 6 squared is 36. And then minus 4 times 1 is 4. And then 4 times, negative 4, because that minus sign is with it. Negative 4 times negative 112 gives me 448. So it's positive 448 over 2 times 1, which is 2. Let's put those together. So 36 plus 448 is 484. So we get negative 6 plus or minus square root of 484 over 2. Now I'll put it in my calculator. So negative 6 plus square root of 484, and then I'm going to divide that answer by 2. So one of my values is 8. There should be a second value when we type it in with the minus. So negative 6 minus square root of 484 divided by 2 gives me negative 14. So those are my solutions. It says the trampoline is 6 feet greater than the width. What is the width? Well, the width would have to be 14. 8 plus 14 is 6. Now I know this says negative, but we cannot have a negative length. So if you check 14 minus 8 will give us 6. So the length, oh nope, sorry, the length is greater than the width. The length is 8. Sorry. The length would be the 14, the width would be 8. On this last one, it just asks for what are the solutions to this. Now, we can factor it, we can do a whole lot of other stuff, or we can change this into y equals by just moving this 81. So x plus 7 squared minus 81 equals 0, and now I can graph that. So go to your y equals. I'm going to erase my other ones. In parentheses, I've got x plus 7, square that, and then minus 81. When you hit graph, you can only see one solution, right? So we got to zoom out. Now I see 2 solutions. To get those exact ones, go back to your y equals, type in 0 for your other line, and then we're just going to see where it intersects with 0. So second, trace, intersect, and let's get this one on the right. So that's at 2, 0. So your solution there is 2. And second, trace, intersect. Now let's move over here. And that's at negative 16. So our solutions are negative 16 and positive 2. It is J. I hope this was helpful. I know we hadn't done a whole lot of practice solving like this, but the other way we could solve this is we could FOIL this, and then we could subtract 81 from the FOIL and solve it using the formula. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you learned something today.